Right, tell us about this woman.
Well, it was just because you were saying about the, you know, our living.
We are broadcasting now, aren't we? This is actually going out, this is live. This isn't us sort of like...
Yeah, but you were just talking about how I lived in an odd village.
Yeah.
With kids with big heads and all that, right? And what I wanted to do...
What is that again? There's 2 kids with big heads.
Yeah, they just had sort of big heads and, webbed hands and that. They went to my school. And, when I spoke to my dad the other day, because I'm going to see my mum and dad tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
So I said, have we got any school photographs with the big-headed kids in? And he said, no, nobody bought those sort of school photos because they were in it, so it was always a bit ruined. But I said, well, no, he said sales would, you know, because he obviously talked to other dads and stuff like that. And he just said, oh, no one bought them. But anyway, so...
I would love them!
Yeah.
That's why I'd buy them.
Yeah, but I wouldn't stand out, would I? If it's on the mantelpiece.
Yeah, well,
So, but anyway, so I was talking about, you know...
When you say they had big heads, what do you mean? Do they look like someone from Doctor Who?
They were just quite big.
But they weren't related?
No.
So why did 2 blokes with big heads and webbed feet?
I lived in a weird area. There was a chemical plant close by.
I can't believe you've never told us that before. That explains a lot. Not just the freaks in your neighbourhood, but...
No, there was loads of weird stuff going on. There was this, like I said, there was this woman who, used to, like, live in one of the council flats, right? And, she had a 3-wheeled, sort of big, what do you call it?
3-wheeled son. He was the weirdest bloke we ever knew.
Well, they call it like a big tricycle, but for an adult rather than one for a kid. It was a big one.
It wasn't a motorbike though, it was a...
No, it was a push bike thing.
Right. Yeah.
And she used to, sort of ride down the road with a fella sat in the basket on the back with his, like, legs dangling over. And they'd be going to, like the pub and what have you.
Was it a different fella each time, or the same one?
Yeah, little sort of bald-headed fella.
So it wasn't collection for, like, organs and things? Bring out your ill. And then people just throw Grandad just in the back and go, right, we get 4 quid for Grandad.
But she's
got a lovely pair of testicles on him. They're very low, but they're
Bring out your dead, or nearly dead.
She used to, pick on her husband quite a lot. They'd be in the pub and what have you, and they'd be sat by themselves, but she'd always be sort of, you know, having a go at him, moaning at him, sort of pushing him about and that. So my dad and his mate, right, they went round to their house, knocked on the door, she answered, and he said he was a copper, right? He said, you know, Detective Pilkington, gonna come in and have a word.
So I'm just gonna make a note of impersonating a police officer.
Yeah, for the good, he went in and sort of said, now, I've heard, you know, you picking on your husband a lot. Yeah. We'll be keeping an eye on you. Do it again, and, there'll be trouble. And she backed off after that. She was alright.
And how was the husband? Was he still in the basket, though? Was he allowed to ever sort of, like, ride up front with her? Or was he just always in the basket?
She'd sort of stopped picking on him in public places and stuff.
That's
like
good.
That. You can't get done, can you, just for doing that?
I think impersonating a police officer...
Well, you probably did. There was no gain. I think you can't impersonate a police officer full stop, but I think they'd probably be lenient on him that he was, you know... But let's face it, he's not gonna be caught, because why would anyone know? But it's not like his son's gonna say it on a radio station, is it? And stitch him right up.
Is this something you did generally? Kind of a little bit of, like, vigilante work?
Just whatever, him and his mate, just, you know, if they saw something going on, they go, what can we do? Sure. What little scam can we do, or whatever.
That's fantastic! That is brilliant. Right, okay, coming up, Knob News.
And Monkey News.
And Monkey News. Could I just say also that I do not advocate the use of vices on friends' heads. It's dangerous. Do not squeeze your mate's head in a vice. That's just between me and Carl, and, you know... And
Gervais is an experienced annoyer.
And he probably wouldn't let me do it, to be honest. I have to offer him an awful lot of money. Also, do not smoke. There's no point. And floss. I wish I'd flossed when I was a kid. Also, if you've got a bicycle or anything like that for Christmas, please wear the correct safety gear.
Whoa.
What?
Well, I got a bike as a kid.
Yeah.
Right. And my dad, you know, I think the helmets used to come with them and what have you. I popped it on, went out on my bike, coming back into the garden. Dad sees me. He said, "Come here." I said, "What?" He said, "I never want to see you wearing that helmet again. You look ridiculous."
Tell that story that you were telling me about your dad when he was driving.
Well, it's just that you were talking about well, I mentioned Forrest Gump
Yeah.
and the Forrest Gump types. When my dad was when he was a taxi driver,
Yeah.
you used to have to sort of do your bit for the local area
Oh God.
by taking the
Yeah.
Forrest Gump
Yeah.
people to Blackpool.
Yeah.
Is that what they're called now? The Forrest Gump people? Is that what the organisations that support them ask for them to be referred to?
A
as?
minibus with
Exactly.
life is a box of
Yeah,
chocolates.
exactly.
.com.
Well,
Forrest Gump types.
It must be. So you work with these people.
It was yeah.
Yeah. The people with learning difficulties.
Difficulties, yeah. And they used to get 5.
Coming home must have been a busman's holiday.
So he got 5 of them in the cab.
Yeah.
And he had to go to Blackpool, and 4 of them were really good, you know, behaving themselves, didn't mess about, weren't fighting and stuff, but there was one who was just causing loads of trouble and he couldn't control him.
God.
And what you've got to be able to do with people like that, you don't want them to get stressed out because it's not good for them. It stresses them out, and you could end up with a bit
Thanks, Dr. Carl.
you could end up with a bit of a riot on your hands. So he thought, I'll nip this one in the bud right now, and he pulled up just on the outskirts of Blackpool, and he took the one out that was causing problems and put it in a wheelie bin.
Oh no! Oh, I'm sorry. I apologise.
He did what?
Oh,
He did it for the good of the others. He put it in a wheelie bin, it was having a good time, it thought it was one of the rides.
Can you stop saying it?
Him.
Yeah.
He you know, he was having a good time, and once he calmed down, my dad went back and picked him up, and he was fine, he had a good
What,
time.
he left him in there the whole time the others were in Blackpool?
No, he left him there, not the whole day, probably about an hour and a half,
In a wheelie bin.
in a wheelie bin.
Why couldn't he get out?
Because, like, his arms were trapped on the thing. It's one of those one.
What, he
the
tied him
sort
up?
of- No, do you know, like, because he was a big fella, and, like, he managed to get him in so his arms were down the side like that, so he was a bit trapped.
Wasn't
And
he screaming and crying and stuff?
he was making a bit of noise, but do you know what I mean?
What, you feel served him right?
Well, but anyway, I didn't really want to talk about it. He just brought it up because of Forrest Gump.
Did his, family know about this? Is this the first time they'd have heard about this?
He didn't get asked to do it again. Because he had another problem similar to it where he had a little minibus, and it was his job to take a load of old women to the bingo hall, and it was miles away. And he took him there. There was no problem. About 10 old women in a minibus.
One of them was causing trouble. So he pulled over it.
No, right? So he took him there. Everything's fine. He dropped him off. They had a lovely night.
Yeah.
Right? They had a lovely night. Won a bit of cash. Coming back, it's a bit of a late night, and they all started moaning at him, going, "I want to be dropped off here. Take me there. I want to be dropped off first. I've got to get up early. Blah blah. You know, my husband's expecting me. I'm already late. Take me here first. Take me there." And he just pulled up in the middle of nowhere. Said, "Get out." And he made them get out, and they all called for taxis. They charged that company who was meant to be taking him home in the minibus, and he got the sack. But a similar sort of story. You can't be dealing with it when people don't sort of just calm down and, like, solve the situation.
Yeah.
They're just all like, "I want to be dropped off first, take me here first, take me..."
Yeah, so he acts like a madman.
Same thing happened when I was at school and I had to play drums in Little Donkey. I didn't tell my parents, right? But my dad turned up anyway. And what happened?
He,
How old were you, Carl?
well, it was the school that I used to go to.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
So
Oh
secondary-
yeah. You went.
secondary.
You used to go to the school you used to go to.
No, but what I mean
Go
is,
on.
I didn't go to secondary, did I? So I missed a lot of that.
Sure.
But primary, I liked.
Oh,
it was all colouring in and stuff.
Yep.
And it was a Christmas play, and I managed to get a part in it. And
Did you audition?
got a part in it, and I should have been playing the drums to the one about Kings.
We Three Kings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was meant to be doing that, but Little Donkey came on, and it was one of those.
What do you mean came on?
That was like next up on you know the next song,
Right.
and it's one of them songs that you can't help sort of.
Tapping along to.
Yeah. Do you know, like if I was to go
Yeah, you'd have to finish it with.
yeah. Do you know that they actually send that into space?
Do they?
And
What, hoping that aliens will respond with that?
yeah, they do that because apparently it is one of them things that you can't help.
What, even if you're an alien life form?
Yeah.
They know that, do they?
Yeah. But anyway.
What, because they watch Star Trek or something?
Hello. Knock knock.
Yeah.
No, seriously.
Is it true, like, if you
who's
send
there?
out knock knock into space, yeah, they have to say that.
Oggy oggy oggy. Oh,
You
that
always do
is
this, but you look
great.
into it. Seriously.
Oh, hold on, what's something out there? What's a little green fella? That is great.
Yeah. So anyway,
That is
Little Donkey is like one of them tunes that you can't. And I was there, and I had the drumstick, and I thought, oh god,
The drumstick!
I could feel myself. And anyway,
Just wanting to do it, yeah.
I started going along and playing Little Donkey, which I wasn't meant to do, but it went down such a storm.
What, were there people like parents and that dozing off, and then suddenly they heard your version of Little Donkey, they thought, wait a minute, now it's really picking up.
What do you mean?
I'm glad we paid £1.50 for this.
What do you mean it went down such a storm? They're going, hold on, was it like when
People have
Ringo...
lighters in the air.
It was like when Ringo joined the Beatles now going,
Yeah.
boo, Pete Best, but he went...
Yeah,
and they went, whoa! Oh,
No,
God.
but the teacher just said, oh, it went down really well, you can do that again tonight,
Right.
when you're in it again. But anyway, so my dad was there, and...
And you hadn't told him about this performance, so
no,
he
I never
just
did.
turned up
I
off
never
his own
did.
back.
I never took the letters home and stuff to
No.
show my mum and dad, because it just put me off. So, anyway, he turned up, don't know why, he must have heard from someone else's dad.
Yeah.
He turned up, and he swore about me, which...
Did he?
I don't...
Could you
what-
use
do you
a
think
word
it's allowed
that's...
to be said? The word?
Of course it is.
Right. If you got a kid in the car or anything, you can turn it down now. can't you?
Yeah.
Right. But he said, there was a guy stood next to him with a camera, big video camera, filming it, and he said, yeah, film it, but try and avoid getting the twat in the hat in the shot, because I had one of those porters, you know, the little round pork pie hats on.
Right.
This is so
What?
sad.
What, was this a nativity play?
It was about Jesus and stuff.
Yeah, well, there was a porter there helping him with his
Of course
bags.
there was, I forgot.
I
yeah.
mean, Mary and
What,
Joseph,
managing the
they got
stable?
there. Yeah, because
Sure.
it was the hope, you know, because the inn was full.
Yeah.
But I think the porter doubled up with the inn and the stable.
Right, that was nice.
So
of
he,
him.
yeah,
He'd
yeah,
carry bags over, yeah.
yeah, no, so yeah.
You're right though. I don't know why I was wearing one of them, but I was. And
And your father said that, and how did you know your father said that? Did
he
you
told
hear
me
it?
about it later.
Oh, he told you about it later?
Yeah, I was talking about stuff I'd done at school, and he said, "Oh God, remember that?" And I spoke to him the other day about it,
Right.
and yeah, it's a
God.
shame.
So
Have you
that was the end of your sort of drumming career, really? Because it could have been, I mean, you know, the audience loved it the night before.
Yeah.
You could have, like, been, who knows, a whole new world for you.
Yeah,
Have
that
you
is.
done any stuff?
I've never drummed. I wish I had, man. I wish I
But
had.
that is
That's a movie story, but
is that, and that's why you don't, and you don't tell, you still, your mum and dad don't know you on the radio,
No,
do
they
they?
think when they were down the other weekend, they had to come in. I just said, "Oh, I'll just go in and press the buttons."
Because they could listen on Sky Digital, couldn't they?
They could do. My mum and dad, right? They moved to this little house, right? And they had loads of furniture that they collected over the years without chucking out, and they've moved to this small house, so they just had too much furniture, right? And they had this double bed, and that was for, like, you know, when friends come round and that, they can stay there. But the problem was he wanted to sort of put these wardrobes in the bedroom, right?
right.
That went on either side of the bed.
Sort of wrapped around
Because
the bed.
but because the room was so small, he thought, I can sort that out,
Yeah.
right? And he sawed the bed.
He sawed the bed.
He sawed the whole thing, so you've got, like, your mattress, your bed, and everything. And
What, he
sort
just
of
sliced some off?
Like a big sandwich, just cut a bit off
just
the edge.
cut the crust off.
About how much is that, would you say?
About 8 inches, 6
About
inches.
8 inches.
But hold on, but that
What, he
won't
cut
work. Because it'll all fall out the side, and then what happened to the springs and all the supports and stuff?
He
It'll just
sorted it
collapse.
out. It didn't all come out and that. I mean, it's not the comfiest bed. but the weird thing is, he did it, and even though it's only like that 8 inches or whatever, it totally ruined it. It's
Yeah.
like,
Well, of course it would.
no, but what do you think I mean? I don't mean it ruined it as in it looks a mess.
No, it would have been uncomfortable.
Not even that though. Just the fact it's that little bit shorter. It's like, God, for 2 people, this is hard work now. This is like you haven't got enough room, even though it's only 8 inches.
Why did he build the wardrobes first without measuring, putting the...
I think he did all that and then thought, oh, it'll easily fit in there, and it didn't. So he had to sort of saw a bit off the bed. But it's just weird how only 8
Did
inches.
he use one of those electric saws?
Yeah.
And there
That's
was just,
amazing.
presumably there was just kind of
What
sort of
did it-
material and wood just flying everywhere.
What did he do with the legs? Did he have to move the legs in a bit?
He moved the legs. Looking at it, right, once it's got like the quilt on it and everything, you wouldn't know. I was like,
Sure.
yeah, that's all right, you've done a good job.
Yeah.
And I went to bed at night. He's like, you know, sleep well. Got up in the morning after having about 45 minutes sleep and said, something not right with that.
Yeah.
And he
You
goes, "What do
really
you
are
mean?"
your father's son, aren't you?
I said,
There's something not
I said,
right
it's
with
not
that.
right. And he said, oh, well, I said, what have you done? It doesn't seem the same. And he said, oh, I had to shorten it, sort of thing, you know, to fit in the gap. I said, well, I can't sleep in it. I said, and there was a big kerfuffle. My mum was saying, look, you have our bed then, and we'll sleep in that one. And my dad was like, sod that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ruined.
You know?
Some idiot cut it.
So there was a big debate going on about where we should sleep, and I was saying, look, you know, I only come and see you like every couple of, you know, probably once every 6 months.
I'm not being funny, but next time we go home, can I film it? Just for, do you know what I mean, Channel 4 or something?
Well, you know, I mean, the Osbournes is not on at the moment. The
Yeah, I know.
Pilkingtons.
Be-
That would be extraordinary.
Oh, can we film it?
That's brilliant.
Is anyone from Channel 5 listening to this show?
Or Bravo.
Yeah.
The Pilkingtons.
Weird though. Right, you know, I'd just been away with my mum and dad and that.
Mm.
And one of the things I always like doing is having a good chat with my dad about stuff he got up to when he was a kid and that.
Yeah.
Right, because he got up to loads of stuff. And every time I see him, he tells me something. And I think, it's like, why are you just telling me that now? It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Right. So,
I mean, to me, he's kind of like Ronnie Biggs or someone. He's just the most extraordinary kind of.
well, this happened, right?
character.
I can't remember. There was a delay yesterday. There was problems on the Paddington line.
Yeah.
And he was saying, oh, trains aren't what they used to be.
Sure.
He said, you know, I was
They
looking.
used to be horses, didn't they?
Well, he was looking in the booklet, and it was saying how you can have your bags collected if you want, but it costs you £5.
Yeah.
So that's outrageous.
Sure, of course.
Right, so he said that's the problem with this country. We've got good with computers and that, but when it comes to, like, getting service, it's gone out the window.
Yeah.
Right? So he said, when I worked on the trains, you know, and he was going on like this, that and the other, so I said, oh, I didn't know you worked on the trains. He said, yeah, when I was 18, right, it was his job to get the coal, right, and chuck it in the engine, right, and one day he's in Grand Central Station in Manchester, which is now the GMEX Centre,
Right.
right, and that was like the main station, and he was in there. The fella who should have been sort of driving the train, right, he said, oh, I'm just nipping to the pub,
Sure.
so you just stay here, keep the engine topped up and stuff.
Yeah.
So he's like, yeah,
For a quick getaway.
Yeah.
right. So the fella goes in the pub, and my dad's in there, you know, putting the coal on. He did his bacon and eggs on a little shovel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And anyway, fella comes up. He says, right, can you move the train forward now?
Oh, blimey.
So he was like, oh. So he didn't want to say, oh, the fella's in the pub, because he'd know we'd say, what's he doing in the pub? He should be working,
Good.
right? So he said, yeah, no problem. I'll sort it out. Right. So he puts it into gear or whatever you do on them trains.
Sure,
right?
puts it into first, yeah.
Starts going forward. Now, people who don't know about trains, something that I learnt is if you're carrying a load of coal or whatever on the back of it, they don't have brakes on each carriage, right? It's only the engine that has brakes on it. So when you pull the brakes on the engine, the whole weight of what it's pulling is pushing you forward.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So he doesn't realise this though, because he's just used to cooking bacon and eggs and chucking coal.
Of course,
and
yeah.
right?
So you've got to slam the brakes on sooner than you would normally.
Yeah.
Well, you have to anticipate it, I suppose. Yeah.
But he didn't know that,
course
so
he
he's
didn't,
pulling in, he's thinking, right,
Well, he's a Pilkington.
I'll put the brakes on now.
Yeah.
Right? Puts the brakes on, the train just keeps going, he's going, oh god, it's not stopping.
Sure.
It ploughs right through the signal box. Right?
The
Loads of
baboon
damage.
pulling the signals don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Loads of damage done. Apparently, if it was today's money,
Yeah.
it'd be about £3 to £4 million worth of damage. It shut the station off for 4 weeks. But he didn't lose his job. The fella lost his job, the one who was in the pub.
Yeah.
He said the funny thing was, he said like £4 million worth of damage. He did his ankle, his wrist in. He had 3 weeks off sick and got paid. So it's brilliant. So
I love your family.
It's extraordinary. The Pilkington gene.
weird, isn't it?
I'd like to see a documentary following you and your family. You'd have to get the family involved.
No, the sort of stuff my dad goes on about. We'd never put it on telly. Oh, talking about my dad. Steve, you'll love this, right?
Go on.
My dad hates being ripped off, right?
Yes. Well, no, I can relate to that. That's important.
Hates coming to London now. He always wants me to go and see them rather than come here, because he just thinks London is like a big rip-off. Last time he came, he got annoyed because I bought him a scone and a cup of tea for like 3 of us, and it was £14, and he just was livid. And then we had an argument about that, and then we went to the Millennium Wheel, and I said, do you fancy going on this? He said, oh, all right. And then he saw the price, and it was something like 20 quid or something. And he said, 20 quid to go up in the air to look at stuff that's on the ground. He said, I might as well stay on the ground.
Brilliant.
Right? Thought, good point.
His logic is impeccable.
So anyway, this is going on. Anyway, he spoke to me the other day. I said, how are things? Are they alright and that? He said, oh, being ripped off. I said, why? He said he ordered, do you know the place where he got a new bed from because he cut the other one in half,
yeah.
right? He got this bed out of a catalogue. So he sorted out a payment on the phone. He said, look, you're ripping me off a bit here on the interest thing, but, well, let's do a deal. We'll sort out a new monthly payment that's different to what it says in the catalogue. And they said, yeah, we'll go along with that. Anyway, so he sorted that out. He was happy. The bed arrived. It's a nice bed. He said, that's great. So anyway, he got the bill for it, and it was the original price.
Oh, I thought it might be the case, yeah.
Right? So he called up and said, I'm not happy with this. He said, we said a deal. And like, oh, no, don't know what you're talking about. He said, right, don't send me your catalogues anymore. He said, I'm not buying anything from you. You're a rip-off merchant. Right? So anyway, few weeks go by. Post comes. Only another catalogue in the post.
He's livid.
Right, so he was well annoyed.
Yeah.
So he looked on the back, and it said on it, this catalogue will always be property of, the company that does it. So you can't throw it away. If we request to have it back, we've got the permission to get it back off you. Right? So he thought, right, well, they're out of order. I told them not to send me one, and they have done, and they're saying I can't chuck it away. So he called them up and said, all right, Mr. Pilkington here, bought a bed off you, you conned me, and that. But, forget that. We've dealt with that. You've sent me a catalogue, I told you not to. It says on the back here that this will always be yours. Yeah? So, in a way, you're using my house as a warehouse. I'll be charging you 26 pence or something a day.
Brilliant.
He said, you already owe me £6.28. Something like that.
Genius.
And, he sorted it out. So again, it just
So hang on, but are they going along with this?
I don't know what happened. He said they sounded annoyed and said they'd get back to him, and they haven't. But he said, I'm not bothered. They can take as long as they want because the money just keeps going up.
Yeah.
So
what sort of profit has he made so far?
Well, when I spoke to him in the week, it was like £6 odd.
Yeah.
I think that was on Tuesday. So he's just leaving it. It's like an investment.
Yeah.
It's like
It's like an antique. He's bought
just,
yeah.
It's just going up every day. So.
Well, keep us posted on that. That's dynamite. One day we need to speak to your father.
Yeah, I think so.
So many questions need to be asked of him.
In fact, I might set him to give you a letter to take home.
Yeah.
Dear Mr. Pilkington. Steve?
Yes.
I think Carl's going to put most people to shame. We were talking about generosity earlier. Because Carl is a nice, generous bloke when it really comes to it. He's paying for Father's Day. He's paying for the cottage that he's going away with his dad.
Are you really, Carl?
Yeah.
Right. Well, there's no way of us proving if that's true or not.
Well, what do you mean?
Well, you could be lying.
But why would I do that?
Well, because you want to show off.
I didn't do it on air. You mentioned it. I don't want people to know how generous I am. Just do it. Just get on with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Look, charity work and that.
Yeah. Exactly.
But I'd have thought that you wouldn't have fallen for Father's Day. I'd have thought you'd have known it was like...
Well, we don't. I mean, to be honest, there's a bit of a coincidence, because I paid for it anyway, and it's happened to fall on Father's Day. Right?
But don't
and my
buy a
dad's
card.
not normally that bothered.
Don't fall for it. I mean, obviously that and Mother's Day and a plethora of other things were, literally invented by card companies to make more money.
I know.
Yeah.
That's I mean, my dad always says don't get him a card or anything. Because he hates it. With all these things that I'd like, rip-off times, really, just ripping people off.
Yeah.
Sounds a bit stingy, that.
Well, no, I mean, he's right.
Yeah.
He's right. It's just, because fellas aren't bothered about getting cards anyway, are they? But the other thing that he noticed, helping out the flower companies, the Princess Diana thing, when she...
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
No.
Jesus Christ. God.
So when...
Carl, what do you mean? What do you mean?
That's what he said. He said, "Oh,
I nearly swore then because I was. You surprise me all the time.
No, I'm
but
just.
That is incredible.
Sorry, what? I don't understand what you're talking
All
about.
the flowers that were sort of sold that day.
Right. What, for people to leave as a commemoration? Or
Yeah,
something?
they made a mint, didn't they?
Who did?
Flower companies.
Right. So what are you saying?
He was just saying, makes you wonder.
What whether
About what?
Whether it was Interflora behind the hit.
Oh.
So it's a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy by the flower companies.
I would love to see you and your dad just sitting at home watching a bit of Channel 5 when apes go mental, right? With your roast dinner.
When's that on?
And then talk like, well, yeah, well, you know, kill Diana, don't you? flower company's son. Right, quite right, Dad, you're not wrong. What are you talking about?
No, I'm not. You know, I'm just saying it's like you were saying about the cards. You know, on Father's Day and that. It's just a bit
too much of a
weird.
coincidence. Too much of a coincidence.
I'd be interested to see sort of, you know, like the business graph
Sure.
on how the companies were doing. Then suddenly,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. But then by the same token, Elton John, you know, he had the biggest selling hit record, didn't he, off the back of that?
Mm.
I mean, so is he incriminated as well?
If you want, I mean,
It's a conspiracy theory you've not kind of analysed terribly closely. You've put it out there, and if people maybe who are investigating want to kind of add that into their inquiries, then they can.
yeah.
Sure.
But no, that's all I'm saying. I'm just, you know, because it's always the same thing, isn't it? Like I was out shopping the other day, you know, treating Suzanne like I do. You know, I like spending money and that.
Yeah.
I was in WH Smith's.
Yeah. Classy. What was it? Was it a big birthday? Was it? Was it her 30th?
No, I was getting a.
Was it 2 biros for the price of 1?
I was getting a card for my dad for Father's Day anyway because I'm seeing him.
Yeah.
Big Toblerone.
Yeah.
There was a giant
Who is it who said Father's Day? They love a Toblerone.
I've never understood Toblerone because the only time I see Toblerone is in airports,
Yeah.
right, and minibars. That is what the small Toblerone is for the minibar in a hotel, 3-star upwards, and the big Toblerone.
Well, it's the big Toblerone is a gift, isn't it? It can only be a gift. You wouldn't buy a big Toblerone for yourself.
Yeah, a duty-free gift. The Toblerone. It's next to you know, Chanel No. 5 Toblerone and a bear.
But it's who specifically would you be buying that Toblerone for?
I don't know.
Someone who's clearly never had it before and would think it was interesting novelty.
Yeah.
Well, this gift's interesting.
I'll tell you what, though, Toblerone is brilliant. I mean, if whoever makes that, if they want to send sort of, you know, some Toblerones, I mean, I will eat Toblerone.
Well, yeah. I think very much the same about, I think very much the same about fags.
And of
just
course,
cigarettes. If you've got any boxes of cigarettes
and,
that you don't want, you know, duty-free or whatever, send them.
I'd just like to say that, in no way do I endorse Carl's dad's theory that flower companies were behind the death of Diana.
No.
Maybe I could say that on air as well.
Anne Robinson, putting the Welsh into room 101.
What? Because she didn't like him and that.
Yeah, she just said, well, they're going in the, you know.
She said it slightly more eloquently than that.
Yeah.
I can the people or the place.
I don't know.
I think it was the place and therefore the people.
Yeah.
What do you mean, yeah?
No, well, you know, my mum and dad have sort of moved from Manchester. They reside now in Wales.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And it is.
Look at his face, turning his nose up.
No, but it is pretty depressing. Do you know what I mean? It's just one of them places that. It's like you go back in time and that when you go there. I mean, maybe the major cities there, maybe Cardiff is alright.
What, even coming from Manchester, it's like going back in time?
It's just, it's like one of them places that it feels like every day is Sunday. Do you know what I mean? It's just depressing and grey and slate
Lots of
everywhere.
vickers walking around going, I'm late.
Well, yeah, it is the sort of attitude they have, right? And this is true because my mum and dad live there and that, right? And they love it, it's alright, it's an healthy place to go when you get older and that. But this is why they don't move on in Wales.
Well, I'd just like to make another sorry to any Welsh people listening. We're not saying you don't move on. Carl is.
No, but
sorry about the little Chinese shoes again.
The thing
as well.
is, it's good that in a way that they do that, and they don't want to be like, you know, rushing about everywhere. Because the way London isn't that great either, is it? Because it's totally opposite here, right? Yeah. So I'm not having a go. It is a bit dull. I think even people who live there will agree with me.
Okay.
Right, but like one of the shops that my mum and dad use, right? It's only a little sort of villagey type shop. They can't be bothered staying open for hours and hours, right? Because there's not enough people who use the shop.
Yeah.
So what you do is, they get used to what you buy.
They leave it out.
They put it in a phone box outside.
They put it in a phone box?
Yeah.
So it doesn't get wet.
So my dad's loving that.
Well,
Once he found that out, it was like, brilliant.
But how is that a bad thing? That's brilliant.
Well, it's not for other people. It is for my dad, because he's picking up all sorts of stuff.
Sure. Oh, no, he's not!
Oh, yeah.
He's not nicking other people's shopping.
Well, it's not like nicking, is it? Because it's not theirs yet.
Oh! And you've stitched him up on radio.
Well, of course, because they're going to think, who is there in town with a Manc accent?
Who keeps making phone calls? And he's getting fatter.
Yeah.
That's
You stitched it
I
right
love
up
that.
there,
I
Carl.
love that your dad was excited when he found out.
I can't believe that he's moved there. He's retired to this little village where it's based on trust and community, and he is abusing it. He's using his scally mank ways.
Bloody hell, Lakers. There's no bread again.
There's old women
Was
going
empty.
hungry.
Yeah.
Their cats aren't getting fed, and your father is just. I can't. That's obscene. That's obscene.
Oh, I think it's Die Thief. That fella from Manchester.
I don't even think they've got Sky there yet, have they? They can't listen. They won't know what's.
I think you stitched him right up. I hope you have, actually. I hope he goes down for it. I hope he's hounded out of the community like Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah.
They should get burning torches, go up to the
Set fire
mansion.
set fire to his cottage.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right, well.
He's out of the choir.
Yeah.
Carl's also nervous. You had a bit of shock last week, didn't you?
Just a little bit.
His dad tuned in.
To the show.
Yeah. And Carl's never told him that he actually speaks on the show. He just said, I just press the buttons, right? He's kept him from it. You used to do radio before and you never told him, did you? It's because the little donkey incident.
Yeah.
When he went along, so...
Was that the twat incident?
Yeah. And so he's never told him since, but they've promised not to listen, haven't they?
Well, my dad said, my mum said to me, don't worry, don't be put off this week, because, you know, I've told him he can't listen, but I hear my dad in the background kind of going, Alex. So, he might be listening. So that's extra pressure. Plus a camera crew in.
I know. You don't like it, do you?
This is good training for MTV, because then he can watch you on TV. I mean, what's he going to make of that?
Oh.
Yeah.
Does he know you're bald?
Yeah.
You don't keep your hat on when you're with him and say, oh no, I'll just press the buttons.
No, it's just, you know, it's like when I was in any plays, I didn't tell him.
No.
Any sort of parents' evening, I never gave him the note.
Really?
Yeah.
So what did the teachers think? You were just an orphan?
No, just on an off chance. My mate's dad spoke to me dad once, I think, and sort of said, oh, you going to school to see how, you know, your kid's doing? Is that what you're talking about? He said, there's a parents' evening, so he
He
went
said, what kid?
he went to one, and that's when Mrs. Matthews said I'd never be a high flyer.
How wrong was she? I think we should call Mrs. Matthews and make her eat her words.
Well,
She'd turn on to MTV when, I don't know, like their slamming session.
Yeah.
And they go, that's young Pilkington. He's bald, but it's definitely him.
I recognise that woolly hat.
Thought another one I like as well. I was saying, you may as well be hung for a sheep as a lamb.
I've never heard, I don't think I've heard that. I have heard it, but I don't think I've ever used it in common parlance.
Well, it's like, if you're going to do something, you know, you might as well go the whole hog, depending on the outcome. Because it's based on reality. That's why I like it, because obviously the poor people used to poach, and if they were caught stealing, you know, a sheep or anything, they would be hung. So if you're going to get caught, don't steal a lamb, you know, at least feed your family for a few weeks.
Right, sure.
Kill a sheep.
Yeah.
Actually hung for killing a sheep.
Oh. Your dad would be in trouble, down in Wales, stealing stuff from that, from that phone box.
well, he has a couple of sayings, right?
Your father?
Yeah, I've never asked him what they mean.
Why would you? Ask
What-
Suzanne.
One is, don't try and teach your granny to suck eggs.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
That means, it's patronising to, of course I know that. You're talking to someone who knows more about this subject than you.
But how did that happen then? How did that saying come about?
Well, it's not. It's a totally made up thing. It's like your granny sucks eggs, doesn't she? Because she's older than you, and it's probably a lost art or something.
Right. And the other one,
Sucks eggs?
sucks
Yeah.
eggs, yeah.
Sucks eggs. Sorry, I thought you said something else.
Don't nudge your granny when she's shaving.
What?
Sorry.
Don't nudge your granny while she's shaving.
Don't nudge your... Sorry, say
Well,
that
that's
slower, I can't...
Don't nudge
nudge your granny when she's having a shave.
Well, what is that in context? Because I can't work out what the analogy is there, because that might just be you when you were little, you used to run up to your granny while she was shaving or something.
But what,
As you
why
get-
is your granny shaving?
Well, no, what context is that said in? Tell me the last time your dad ever said that, and I'll try and work out what it means.
Can't remember. I can't. I don't
Are you
know.
sure these aren't specific to your granny?
Yeah, I was to say, were you nudging your granny? She was going,
Yeah.
get lost, Carl.
She was shaving off her moustache.
Or giving herself a Brazilian.
That's grotesque. Suck an egg, suck an egg, suck an egg. Try and get that instead.
Oh,
That's a-
oh
yeah.
God. That's made
Yeah,
it
made
worse. Carl's granny sucking eggs. Whilst that's... that is
Giving
my...
herself a Brazilian. We've no idea. I don't know what that means. Don't nudge your granny while she's shaving. What,
Yeah.
parmesan?
Well, I was telling you one about when I used to go with my dad in the taxi.
Oh, yeah.
Why,
Tell
what
us this
happened?
story.
Well,
Your father was a taxi driver?
my dad he had loads of jobs, which he did back then. And they don't do that anymore, do they? People they don't sort
Have
of
a
do
variety of
loads of
jobs?
stuff.
Sure.
But at one point, he had a black cab, and I used to go with him. Used to get a beer crate and put it in the front of the black cab, and sort of sit just next to the
comfortable.
meter. And anyway, we got this call, and like the guy on the end of the radio said, "Oh, you've got your son with you, haven't you?" So he said, "Yeah." So it's just like, we've got to pick up at number 11 Village Lane or whatever. And he said, "Oh, all right." And it was this woman. It was like a woman version of the Elephant Man.
Wow. The Elephant Woman.
Yeah, it looked like... it looked like... It was really strange, because I was in the front of the cab, and when you're a kid, if something looks odd, you're a bit scared of it, aren't you?
Yeah.
And my dad was like, "Look, it'll be all right." And we're driving towards her.
Look, don't worry, son. I've got loads of buns.
And just to
I
give
think I'll
you-
just throw one down the street if you run after
You're
it.
being mean, right?
I am a
was
little
she?
bit,
So
yeah.
how old were you? 18?
No, I was about 12 or something like that. 11, 12. And as we got closer to her, it looked like she was holding like a bag of spuds on her shoulder,
For a snack.
Right.
and her head was all a bit mangled and messy and that. And my dad said, "Whatever you do, don't stare at her face."
Yeah.
And she got in the
Because you
back.
turn into stone.
She got in the back, and I had like the mirror, the driver's mirror thing, and sort of having a look, trying to work out. And he said, "Don't stare at her face." I couldn't work out where her face was. It was that weird.
Oh, God.
So I'm not sure you're from Manchester. I think you're from, like, Narnia or something.
Yeah, you got
Or-
frog boys walking
yeah,
around.
the Lord
with-
of the Rings.
That got like the claws of a lobster and the head of a toad.
Yeah.
And you got women getting in with spuds for heads. I mean, what
This is
sort
not
of what
Manchester.
is
This is not
place?
the place you grew up. This
Yeah.
is mad.
Oh, you can't believe it in London, can you? You come down and go, look, symmetry. It must be amazing.
It must be a thing to do with upbringing, though, mustn't it? And because again, do you know I've said to you before, years ago when I was a kid and didn't have any worries, good-looking lad, you go through it a bit, have a few more worries, and you look knackered. Now back there's a lot more worries and stuff, so you get a lot more freaks. Whereas in London, everyone's like happy, aren't they? Got
I
loads
love
of
the
money.
fact that stress can cause your fingers to fuse and your heads
Yeah.
to grow.
No, but if
She must have been really stressed to have a head like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. She what was?
Bag of
Yeah,
sluts.
was she an accountant or something?
you know what I mean.
But what did she do? What did she say?
Where
when
was
she
she
got in?
going, by the way?
She couldn't speak.
London Zoo, please.
I think she was going to like a
To the
pet
fair.
shop. Seriously, honest to God. On my mum's life, she was. Because at the end of the day, that's a good thing with animals. They don't judge you, do they?
She's not
She
an
was an
animal.
animal. She's a human
She's
being.
not actually an elephant.
No, but she
You know the Elephant Man was not actually an elephant. You understand that? He's got no elephant genes in him at all.
No.
That was just a cruel name people gave him.
Yeah.
No, it's the name of the disease, isn't it? Elephantitis.
Look, so listen. So this woman, why was she going to a pet shop?
She was going to a pet shop. What, to find a husband?
Like, play a song.
Is this true?
No, it is true, yeah.
Oh,
But
God.
I'm not taking the mickey, because it must be
So-
really bad for
Of
you.
course it
But
is.
Carl,
Oh,
I
we
need to
haven't.
ask.
I'm going on to you today about cutting myself shaving.
Yeah.
I was going on about that. To think that she's probably not alive now, but to think,
But you're saying that you're going to say this is a worse problem than a little cut shaving, aren't you?
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The
I think you're
things
right.
that
Carl,
we worry about.
there's a couple of key questions I need to ask. One, if she couldn't talk,
Yeah.
how did she tell your father where to drive it? Did she have it
Probably
written on
got
a
some
note?
help
Did she
for at
point
home.
with her nose?
Yeah.
Right, this has got silly. Pick your song.
But and also, finally, where did you say she lived again?
It was like in a village, a little small village.
Right.
Just hidden out of the way.
All I'm saying is we could maybe get like some sort of coach, book some coaches, get a coach party out there to have a look at her.
So
Take some photos.
And now
You can make some lemonade.
the offspring of a woman and some spuds. Please enter at your peril. Should it give me a shiny shilling?